Thank you, Sylvia. Good evening. My name is Christopher Lee. 13 years ago, I was born weighing 1 pound and 12 ounces. I had to be born 13 weeks early so my mom and I could have a chance at life. The doctor said that after I was born, my mom would get better. But she did not. She got sicker and sicker, and I got sicker and sicker.
You okay, bud?
On my 4th day of life, I suffered the worst injury of prematurity, a grade 4 intraventricular hemorrhage deep within my brain. The doctors asked my dad if he wanted to remove life support. They said I would not walk or talk or have any quality of life. My mom was too sick to be consulted. She now jokes that if my dad would have removed life support, she would have pulled the plug on him too. Good job. My mom spent the next 2 weeks in intensive care. All her organs started to fail. Her brain swelled, and her optic nerve was damaged. During this time, she cannot visit me or care for me. That's okay, Mom. You've more than made up for it.
Thanks, buddy.
I spent the next 91 days in the neonatal intensive care unit until I finally went home. I couldn't coordinate the suck, swallow, and breathe pattern necessary for bottle feeding, so my mom had to exclusively nurse me for 3 years. 4 herniated discs later in her neck, my mom was grateful for the experience. My 4 herniated discs later, but
Right here.
my first 3 years of life were filled with doctors, therapists, medications, oxygen tanks, and heart monitors. I didn't walk until I was 2. It was around that time that I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, left hemiparesis. That basically means I have a weakness on the left side of my body that primarily affects my left hand and arm. When I try to explain to people how it affects me, I tell them to try to get dressed, or cut a steak, or basically just get through a day using only one hand. I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining. I also have various learning disabilities, including nonverbal learning disability, which is not autism. It actually means I am very verbal and read really well, but I am not so good at math. I'm very sorry about that, Dad.
Take a deep breath.
My family and I see it as not as being disabled, but as being differently abled. I can do some things kids my age can't do, and vice versa. Basically, I am grateful to be alive, and grateful that my mother lived too. But my disabilities are the direct result of this terrible disease, preeclampsia, and awareness of which would have prevented my injuries. But there was no information about warning signs and no bed rest for my mom, who, after seeing stars in the shower, went to a neighborhood pharmacy to check her blood pressure. It was 180 over 100. Then she went straight to the intensive care unit. I stand before you tonight, representing all the little ones impacted by this deadly disease. The babies who lived, and those who remain alive in our hearts. But mine is just one story. Now let's now take a look at the stories of others and see the impact of this devastating disease has had on so many families.